Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a seminar with the title Humanity and the Character's Action Helps in a short story called Courage. I am Woro, very honored to be a moderator today. First of all, I would like to say thank you for you all for attending this seminar. Now, before the presentation begins, let me to introduce the three speakers for today. First, Ms. Unnyta Ika, who will give us the information about the definition and the theory of humanity. Here is the profile of Ms. Unnyta Ika Lucia, who usually called as Nita. She was born in Bangka Belitung on 6 May 2001. She was educated at SMA and Satu Manggar, and now she is a student in Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta since 2019. She also has many achievements like first winner of Cipta Puisi FL2SN 2018 provincial level, third winner of Cipta Puisi FL2SN 2017 provincial level, first winner of Debat Bahasa Indonesia 2017 city level, second winner of Debat Bahasa Inggris 2018 city level, first winner of Paduan Suara 2018 city level, first winner of Pidato 2017 city level. Second, Miss Anisa Vioni, who will tell us about the story of courage. Miss Anisa Vioni Putri, with nickname Vioni, is a student in Yogyakarta State University in English Literature major and had educated at SMA and 5 Yogyakarta. She was born in Sleman, 8 May 2001. She is also an activist in literacy who has succeeded establish a reading house for Yogyakarta people. Even though she is quite busy, but she also has succeeded published her first book named My Diary, and her work entitled Against Myself fills an anthology called The Misfit. And third, Miss Elsa Auliatami, who would explain us the possible reason for the characters helping a stranger. Miss Elsa was born in Bantul 24 February 2001 and got her education at SMAN 12 Yogyakarta until 2019, then being a student at Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta right now. She is a creator and editor-in-chief of Saturday Paper, 7-time Yogyakarta best-selling author, and she is a humanitarian and activist in regional of Yogyakarta. Yet, before we listen for the first speaker, here is the story of courage that you can read before Miss Nita gives us the information about it. So, without further ado, the first speaker who would give us the information about the definition and the theory of humanity, Miss Unnyta Ika.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I will give you some information that will help you to follow the presentation today. First, as the title of the seminar, Humanity. Humanity is the human race, which includes everyone on earth. It is also a word for the qualities that make us humans, such as the ability to love and have compassion and not be a robot or alien. The word humanity is from the Latin humanitas, for human nature, kindness. Humanity includes all the humans, but it can also refer to the confiding humans often for each other, but when you talk about people as a whole. When people do bad things, it tests your faith in humanity.
Such a clear explanation from Miss Nita, then how can you demonstrate humanity?
Alright. Humanity means helping others at times when they need that help the most. And then, humanity means forgetting your selfish interests at times when others need your help. Humanity means extending unconditional love to each and every living being on earth. Just let your humanity side. Being human means acknowledging that human beings are, well, human and at times imperfect or fallible. It is also about acknowledging wrongdoings and being open to feedback, even if it's not what you want to hear or do. Perfect example of humanity can be demonstrated by a short story called Courage. It is told that Courage contains a story that is quite tragic when there is a family who comes from France to help British soldier hide from the French soldier. British soldier getting a mission that is quite dangerous, and the plane he was traveling and landed in the wrong place. He sought help because he knew he would definitely be caught by the French soldier. Those who helped the British soldier had to be willing to lose the head of the family, who was shot by the French soldier. Even when the British soldier fled and returned to ask for help to hide again in the same place, the family still helped, even though they had just lost her husband or father who had the soldier hide.
Thank you for the good information, Miss Nita. Now we move to the second speaker who will tell us about the story analysis of courage, which is a perfect example of humanity, as Miss Nita said before. So, Miss Anisa Vioni, the time is yours.
Thank you, Woro, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all audience for joining us in today's seminar. Today, I would like to tell you about the analysis of the short story titled Courage by Arthur M. Johnson. This time, I will discuss about two topics, extrinsic aspect and intrinsic aspect. But first of all, we take the short stories Courage from a book of collection short stories. So I will explain a little bit about the book. Okay. Information of the book. The book is named Selected Short Stories. The book is written by Arthur M. Johnson. First published in 1949 and second published in 2019. Arthur M. Johnson is the publisher of a series of language books. In his first book, English by Nature Method, was self-published in 1939, and it seems that he founded the Nature Method Institute by about 1942, and it may have been merely a DBA to provide his book an imprint. In his book, the writer mentioned the purpose behind the collection of short stories. First, the writer's intention is to provide the opportunity for readers who have gone through the main section of the English method with natural methods to continue their studies in easy and natural way simply by reading stories in the language they have recommended. And the next is this story provides a convenient bridge to guide the reader through the easy step for knowledge of English that is common in the school to understanding the language normally used by the English writer. Okay, let's discuss the intrinsic aspect. Actually, intrinsic aspect consists of 5 elements: plot, theme, point of view, setting, and character. But today I will focus on 2 elements: plot and character. The plot of the story. First, exposition. Exposition is the first part of the story with situation of character explained. It lends up to the further development of the story. The exposition introduces the main character, James Grant, who landed in the wrong place. One day, before England went to attack France, there is a British soldier named James Grant who was chosen for especially dangerous jobs. But accidentally, he was dropped into Normandy by aeroplane. When he reached the ground, he realized that he had been dropped at the wrong place because he couldn't find the houses, the woods, and the woods that had been described at him beforehand. None of his fellow soldiers in sight. He was alone and completely on his own in a country held by enemy. Then he decided to find some place to hide or he would be taken prisoner. While looking around, he saw a small farmhouse with a red roof. He tried to approach the house and sang over a few French. And then a French woman opened the door. Grant introduced himself as British soldier and asked her to hide him from the enemy. Then she told him to come inside the house quickly. The husband pushed and hid him into a large cupboard beside a fireplace and shut the door of it. The second part is rising action. Rising action in the story when the German soldiers come to the farmhouse. A few minutes later, 6 men of German soldiers arrived in the farmhouse. They had seen the British soldiers coming down from the aeroplane. They assumed quite confidently that the British soldiers was hiding in the farmhouse because the house was the only house closest to the spot where he came down. They searched it quickly and carefully, and they was found and pulled a cupboard while almost find the British soldiers. But the farmer had given him protection by blocking them. Okay, third part is climax. Climax is the greatest tension in the story. Climax in the story when the farmer was killed by the German soldiers because he didn't tell where the British soldiers. Since the farmer won't cooperate with the German soldiers, he was dragged from the kitchen. And then he tried to call his wife, but the German soldier silenced him by striking him in the mouth. And then the German soldiers stood him against the wall of the farm and shot him. His wife cried, can hardly understand that her husband was died. And by then, Grant was caught and put in prison in the small outhouse near the farm and locked the door. Next is folly action. Folly action is the event in the story that tells about what will happen to the main character after the climax. Hearing the German soldiers return back to the farmer house, Grant tried to carefully escape through a small window at the back of the prison. Since the German soldiers knew Grant escaped from the prison, they rushed after him around the prison. They were running fast and started firing at him. Grant ran as hard as he could to avoid being caught by the German soldiers. He left the woods and ran into the farmhouse. He felt sorry when he passed the farmer corpse which still lying in the farmhouse. The British soldiers also can't do anything except ask for help again. The last part is resolution. This is the end of the story, which Grant asks the farmer's wife for help again to hide him. Once again, Grant went in front of to the farmer's house and knocking the kitchen door. The farmer's wife came quickly and looked straight into his eyes, which had made his husband die. She seemed pale as her eyes filled with tears that she didn't dare to touch her husband's corpse which still lay in her house. And then Grant asks again for hide him. In a moment, the farmer wife hid him in a cupboard beside a fireplace like her husband had done before. Grant stayed there until the situation seemed safe. And at the end, the British soldier James Grant returned to his division, and the German soldiers never come back to the farmhouse. Next, let's discuss the personality of the character that we get after analyzing the plot of the story. British soldiers or James Grant as the main character. He is clever, thoughtful, and polite. The farmer as the minor character. He is brave, caring, and helpful. And then the farmer's wife or a French woman as the minor character. He is loving family, patient, and good-hearted. The last is German soldiers as the antagonist. They are rude, selfish, and cruel. Okay, that's all my presentation about the analysis of the story Courage. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you for the good and interesting story for Miss Anisa Vioni. Ladies and gentlemen, after the two good speakers, now is the time for the last speaker who will tell us the possible reasons of why the characters help a stranger in the story of courage. So for Miss Elsa Auliatami, please do.
Thank you, Woro, for the opportunity. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to talk about the possible reason for the characters helping the stranger. Yeah, related to Unita's explanation, humanity means helping others when they really need our help. It can mean that when we help others, we must actually forget or put aside our egos and self-interest. Based on the story that we read, Courage, the story show a husband and wife who show extraordinary courage to help the stranger, even of different nationalities. They dare to risk their life just to protect British soldiers from being targeted by German soldiers. And there is an example of human care, of bravery and failure as mentioned in Rising Action part. They also help with a sincere sense and dare to accept the greatest risk that they will receive. They do all that because they are based on a strong sense of humanity. Regardless of the explanation, we never know why everyone helps others. We never know the ins and outs of the people who help us. Even if the story is not told with certainty, there are several possible reasons why the characters want to help the British soldiers or the stranger. Okay, we can get example action of humanity by analysis story courage. As Vioni's explanation about intrinsic aspect focus on the plot, we can showing the example action of humanity. In the first part, exposition. The farmers couple help the British soldiers regardless of where it was from because they want to help the British soldiers without thinking about the risk. This action is a brief example about a concern of human fellow that correlate with humanity. By helping others each others, we could alleviate the suffering of fellow human beings who do not differentiate religion, nationality, ethnicity, gender, social position, and other criteria. The next possible reason is also based on the Vioni's explanation. That self-confidence is also important when we are going to help someone or others. Because if we are not confident and feel afraid, then it can stop our step to help someone. Sometimes, if we really want to help someone or others, we don't need time to think long. Why they can do that is because they could be experience the same thing as the person they are helping now, and they could be the biggest reason they were so willing to help the British soldiers because maybe the farmer couple in the family had a close relationship with the British, so that a sense of brotherhood was also the reason they helped the soldier. And I think the other reason that can reinforce the notion that the farmer couple is willing to help strangers is perhaps the environmental and the cultural factor of friendly French people, so that they are used to helping each other in daily life.
Thank you for the information and interesting talk, Miss Elsa. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now I will conclude this interesting talk. Humanity is a word for the qualities that makes all of us human. It also could refer to a human nature or kind of feeling that humans have for each other. Then, to demonstrate humanity, people could let their humanities shine through acknowledging wrongdoings, empathy, or even give an unconditional love. And from the short story named Courage, we could see the value of humanity. The story, which taught about a farmer family who dared to help a foreign soldier who got lost and even lost his life, shows its human values to the reader. Next, from the analysis, we could conclude that humanity in the character's action helped the soldier are probably to alleviate the suffering of fellow human being by helping others, or the farmer couple could be experience the same thing like the soldier, or perhaps the environmental and cultural factors. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we come to the end of this seminar. We would like to say thank you again to the speaker for the informative and interesting talk, and to the audience. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial and let your humanity shine. Thank you.